I think the governance is a very, it's a customer by customer, perception of what governance means to them. And that would depend on the industry that they're in, the regulations that are already in place for them. And so there is no one, silver bullet for it. But I think it comes down to making a systematic effort to think about governance and having the key players in your organization contribute to the governance conversation. Because if you leave, let's say, security out of it, that's going to be a problem. If you leave the IT function out of it, that's going to be a problem, right? If you leave the business out of it, that's even a bigger problem because they are the ones who are going to leverage that. So governance has to go across the board, but it's a conversation. And I think there is no plan right now. Like, here you go, this is what you should do. Out of that conversation, you'll get some steps that, okay, this applies to our company. This is what we should do. And it needs to be a living document. It cannot be one and done, you never look back. The generative AI landscape is changing so fast that you will have to revisit this again and again and again as you see more developments coming through.
These generative models are essentially brand new. Even though we've been using this kind of technology for 30, 40 years, depending on how you look at it, they really have become available and in mass production recently. So we have to be very measured and make sure that, hey, whatever this thing is putting out is within the constraints of reasonableness. And that needs to be done from a business perspective, but also from having your subject matter experts work on this and make sure that the outputs that are coming out of this make sense. Other safeguards you have to put in place is a lot of these models are public. They literally sit on somebody else's servers with no constraints. So you have to be very measured about making sure that if you're going to be using this with sensitive data, with private internal data, private IP, that you are putting it in a system that's going to prevent that kind of leakage from happening. These models are trained on huge data sets. And depending on who you're talking about, you might or might not know where those data sets originated from. Those training sets could actually contain proprietary information, and there could be a potential for lawsuits coming to both the generative AI maker as well as the consumer that used it to generate arguably protected information. So you have to understand, hey, where did this data come from? How does it get trained? How do I verify and make sure that what's being produced for me is not going to get me into hot water, right? So it's part of the process of making sure that you're adopting the right technology and the right use cases as well.